everybody, get your food real quick, all right? Yo, Chacham, you good over there?
So I start it over?
All right, just a quick disclaimer. I can't hold a candle to Rafael Deutsch, so it's not going to be that great, but I'll try. The board really didn't want me to speak, but when we're making calls, people asked if I'm going to be speaking, and they're like, yo, we'll give extra $100 if you speak. So we raised a few more bucks. So thank you, everybody, for the push to speak. I appreciate the whole board helping us out with the Melaveh Malka, especially Barry. We actually got Barry signs. I went and got custom signs made up. I put them on Friday on both sides of the social hall, and the Barry ripped them down on Shabbos. And then I had to go tonight. I put them back up, and then in order he shouldn't be able to take them back down, I actually chained the ladder. And then he's like, Levi, you can't do this. So I had to give him the code, and he took it down again. So you won that battle, but it said, let's go Barry, sorry, there we go. Him and Joe Biden are behind the scenes working in the basement, so we appreciate that, Barry. So Baruch Hashem, I'm not, I don't really have good content like Rafael Deutsch, is very creative. Hashem gives me a story every time I have to speak. This story was like not this week, but the previous week. And one of the projects that I've taken on in the shul is to clean out the utility room. It's a forever project. If anybody who's ever been on the board knows what that's like. So Peretz mentions to me that Shabbos, he's like, hey, there's this nursing home in Bridgeport that closed down. How about we go get some really good, these like shelves, commercial shelves, stainless steel, let's go get them. And I could tell he was kind of like a little half-hearted about it. It was like that offer, like, yeah, I don't really want to do it. I'm like, yeah, let's do it, man. He's like, okay. So that was Shabbos, no planning, it's Shabbos Geret. Sunday I was showing a bunch of homes, and Peretz has an upsharing. So I didn't think it was really gonna happen, but at some point we're like, hey, let's go, man, let's go. So we quickly book a reservation on U-Haul, and me and Peretz start at about 4 p.m. We're like, I think we're gonna need some help for this. So I call up Shaya Bud. I'm like, Shaya, how would you like to go get some shelves? Yeah, go Shaya, woo! How'd you like to go get some shelves? He's like, I think I'll be okay, yeah, sure. So we go to the U-Haul down on Meriden Road. We get the truck, they give us the key, and the truck is not starting. This is our mazel. Right off the bat, the truck is not starting. We realized that it's the car behind the one that's parked there. So the guy had to come back out, move the truck in front because we couldn't move it, and we got the one behind. So this is the beginning of the journey. This is the beginning of the story. And on the way to Bridgeport, Peretz mentions, by the way, there's no light in the building. I'm like, great, no light. We need flashlights. No, we could use the flashlights on our phone. I'm like, dude, you got 18%, I got 12, this is not gonna work, So on the way there, we stopped off, right off the highway, there's a Home Depot. Me and Shai jumped in, got 2 headlamps, got back in the truck. We go down the street, it's called Bond Street. You go down at the end, and there's like this police barricade. And I'm like, all right, let me go move it. And Peretz like, nah, I got this. On the right side of the barricade, there's like this cliff. So Peretz is like, whoa, the whole truck's about to fall down. I'm like, we're not doing that on the way back in. Way back out. The Kitzer, the complex is probably a square mile, okay? The place looks overgrown. We're driving the truck down like the street. And on both sides, there's like, oh, nice, romantic. So anyway, so on both sides, there's got a bunch of shrubs growing in, right? And like the truck is like brushing on both sides. It's like right out of Jurassic Park. You're just waiting for one of these monsters to come and just get you. We go to the back door of the nursing home. And at the back door, it's just everything's wide open over there. There's a lift. There's a what's it called? There's a loading dock. There you go. Thank you. There's a loading dock. So Paris pulls out the back of the U-Haul truck. We pull out the ramp, and we put it right onto the loading dock. And we start just going in. And the first thing, everything's broken. The toilets, the sinks. It's like, what happened here? Right? And it's like dust. It's like makas choshech. You know, they were like stuck in one spot. You're like fighting through the asbestos, the dust, right? It was mias, all right? It's like straight out of I Am Legend, Contagion, or that's what in this nursing home they shot End of Days. Okay, this is how bad it was. So you wonder, you know, it was operating at 100% during COVID. You wonder how on earth a place could go from 0 to 60 or 60 to 0 so fast. Drop ceilings everywhere. We're just like trying to find things. Nothing, no light. It was freezing cold. So we're rummaging like room through all the rooms, right? Like mice for food, you know. And actually, Rafael Deitch took my Amazon giveaway, you know, like Amazon giveaway, free, yeah, let me get some of that, woo, you know. That's what kind of we felt like. And the second room, the first room we got to was like a bunch of filters. And we're like, these are like 2-inch filters. Will they fit the shoe? We can make them fit. I don't know, you know, but they were free. So we're like, we're not sure if we should take them. We then, next room was great. Next room was the maintenance room. So, of course, a guy like me, I'm loving it. And Shaya's going to electrical school. So you got a bunch of electrical parts. And me, I found a whole box of screws. You know, hopefully it'll fill in the missing ones that I have. But I'm not sure that it will. I have way too many that are missing. We finish up in that room. It's like probably spent a good 25 minutes there. I'm like, guys, we got to get out of here. You know, we're going to be here all night. So we go out of that room and we start looking for the racks. You know, the mission here is the racks. Remember the racks. We find the boiler room. Okay, again, pitch dark. You know, headlamps like miners, like scuba divers. So we find this boiler room, and in the boiler room is a bunch of plumbing fittings. I'm like, that's perfect for me. Sign them up, guys. So I make Shia and Paris each grab a garbage can, and we're just filling up all the garbage cans with plumbing fittings. And of course, we're losing sight of the mission here. But we wheel out the garbage cans, and we take it out to the front. And it's like, it was hard to find because like we didn't know where we were going exactly. It was like almost like you're blindsided there. Like, is this the turn? Is that the turn? You finally get to the corridor of where it's close to the outside, and it's like a fresher breath air. You know, like a scuba diver comes out. You know, it's like that's how bad it was. So anyway, after that, we take the garbage cans, we wheel them on top of the garbage truck on the ramp, and it's a tight ramp, so we're just trying to make sure it doesn't fall off. We get it on. Back inside, now we're looking for the racks again. So Paris has been in the building before, so he knew about where to go. We find the room with the rack, and we each grab one of the racks. So we start pushing it, and again, we're over drop ceiling tiles. We're like dead people over there, you know, from the nursing home that were left. And you know, they left everything. Everything was there. And so we got the first 2 racks onto the truck. What happened? Okay, your watch is broken? Mine, sorry. So anyway, so the first 2 racks we got onto the truck, and we're like, we're totally not going to have room for all the other racks. We wanted at least 6. So we bought nothing because parents are like, yeah, we're going to a nursing home, right? We brought 0. The only thing I happened to have brought were 2 mallets. What do you know? I don't know, Hashem put a juke in my head, as Reuben would say, and I bought 2 mallets. So we take the mallets, and we're like, we're gonna have to take these racks apart. I don't know if you know, if you're familiar with these racks. They're like 4 poles, not the ones you think of, okay, but they're like 4 poles, and you take off one at a time. You take the racks, you take them off one at a time, and they're like plastic things. So you have to hammer these things to take them apart. So we start taking turns and hammering it. The first one took us about 20 minutes to take apart. We're like, this is not a mahalach, right? Because we'll be here all night. We have like 6 more to go. For some reason, I don't know exactly how it works, but these racks, they had these curtains around them, like a parochus, like the women's section. But these were like tied down, like really well. And we couldn't take them apart because they were tied. So I felt like I was on Gilligan's Island. Quick, what do? We need a knife. Do I take a coconut, throw it down on the floor, and make a knife out of it? So we all went back inside to the maintenance room and tried to find a knife. We didn't find any, but we found a knife like this small, okay? Yakir kazekatan, okay? Like this. And we take this little thing, and I'm like this. Like this, if I was a male, I'd get fired right on the spot, It was ridiculous, all right? You're holding it by the fingers, it's not gonna go. Anyway, so we cut the strings off one at a time, and we got that one all clear. So the next one, we knocked off the top, and there's a clip. Again, like I said, there's a clip, and you have to just pry it off with your fingers. And so I stuck my hand there to try to get the clip off. I'm rubbing it off like this, trying to get it off. And all of a sudden, Parrot decides to play whack-a-mole. I start seeing stars. Parrots whacked my finger like no one's business. I said some words I shouldn't say in a shul. Or for that matter, anywhere else. The whole Bridgeport was able to hear me. I was just going and going, it was not a pretty sight. I almost passed out after about 5 minutes, or it seemed to be 5 minutes. I'm not sure. Was it 5 minutes? Whatever. I felt like they were like freaking out. They're like, And I mean, imagine you're the guy doing this, right? You're the guy who just whacked somebody else. Like, what are you? I'm sorry. Now's not the time for that, After 5 minutes, I finally get my shiznit together. And I think to myself, Rabbanu Shalom, must be Mida connected Mida. I must have given somebody the finger, It's just that pashut. I was wearing a work glove, and it was just oozing out of, it's a work glove. It was oozing out of the work glove. So Parrots goes inside and brings me this gauze pad that was some grandma's gotchkiss involved in that thing. You know what I'm saying? I'm like, Parrots, do me a favor, spare me. I'm not using that thing. It's just not happening, So let me just paint the picture of what was going on. The plan was to be in and out in 30 minutes, okay? If we were bank robbers, the cops would have got us by now, all right? There's no electric, there's no water. I'm bleeding out over here. Shia is totally done, and it's just bleeding, It's just dripping. And being a Yutkin, I'm like, hey, we gotta take apart the rest of the shelves. Let's do it, guys. So that was pretty much it. We got the rest of the shelves, we got them on. So now this was the back of the building. We had to get to the front of the building because Avalon Shul needed some chairs. So we drove to the front of the building, and over there we're just going up and down like mice running through like a maze. This is 6 floors, empty building. We're looking for the best chairs because there's a bunch of them throughout the building. Oh, this one's good, this one's scratched, okay, good. And this is like with a finger in one hand, I'm there with one hand, I'm like, yeah, and trying to grab as much chairs as I can. Probably got, 10 chairs? We didn't get too many. Most of them were in bad shape, but we got a few. There was another building with computer monitors. Parents like, yeah, we got to get the monitors, man. We came to the monitors. So Shaya's like, I don't know. But we went to the building, got the monitors. On the way out, again, this is like, you have to imagine, like all 3 of us sitting in the front. I feel like Alex Soriano on a job site, So, yeah, there you go. Alex wanted a picture up here, but we couldn't get the screen. It was, whatever, yeah. Talk about that later. So anyways, so we got the monitors. On the way out, there was another van coming to rob the building, okay? This is an empty place, so everybody's coming to loot here. We actually had permission, but everybody else does not. And they were quickly reversing back out of there. So the whole ride back was kind of awkward, I guess. I don't know, parents, I don't know, you felt bad maybe or whatever. I was bleeding out on my finger, but like I was a little gone. So we finally get to Avalon. All the lights are off. Shaya gets the key from the mailbox, opens the door. Quickly go to Ozzy's $1 million coffee machine and get myself a nice hot cocoa. All of a sudden, varm, warm, the chiyas comes back. You come back to life a little bit after being in the freezing cold. And I take some hot water, I put it, don't tell anybody, into the negelwasser schüssel, into the hand, whatever you call it, the natla. I put some boiling water in there, and I stick my hand in, because I tried to take the glove off and it was just like stuck. It wasn't coming off, Sorry. So it's like, again, the scuba divers, like they throw the blood for the sharks. This is what it was. Like, all it sounds like, yeah, Finally got the glove off. It's pretty bad. It was cut pretty bad. And, what's happened? Oh, sorry, Rafael. I apologize. So I pulled the glove off, and I'm like, hey, looks a little swollen. I probably need some ice. So I open up the freezer, and I find the popsicle. So I put it on this hand. On the right, and the other, in the freezer, I also found Klein's Nutty Buddy ice cream. I'm like, I'll take that, So I have like 2 ices, one in one hand for my finger and one for my stomach, And now it's time to go to B'nai Shalom to drop off the shelves. So now we're walking down. We drove the parrots back the truck up to the entrance downstairs. And we walk in. Sorry for bottling you guys. It was a little before my hour. A little bottling, not so bad. And Yochi's like, Levi, I think you should go to the hospital. I'm like, nah, I think it's fine. What's the big deal? So I take a few pictures and I send Dr. Bartfeld. So Dr. Bartfeld asked 3 questions: whose finger, how, and when? It's such a doctor question, Can I build insurance or not? That's really the question, It just like that's how we have to say it, But I take it back. Me, Hammer, and a few hours ago. He's like, come on over. When I come over, he's like, it was the wife, wasn't it? And I meant to respond back to him, Doc, what's the hardest part about eating a vegetable? The wheelchair. Anyways, he sends me off to get an x-ray next day. Baruch Hashem, it was all good, Not broken. Big cut, but not broken. So I know it's a little hard to understand what's going on here, but the lesson is over here that Hashem made one person steal $4 million in retirement fund from 200 employees, right? So that the government could come after him, put him in jail, 200 people could lose their jobs, and 240 beds. People could be left without beds, they're probably still there, and Yud can almost lose a finger, so that Yud can Hashefta could get some shells for B'nai Shalom, right? Do you not see the Etzba Elikim? Come on, guys. So again, the message isn't so clear, but the point is, we are very, very, there you go, read in between the lines. We are very, very dedicated to the shul. And we'd like to thank everybody for their support and the dedication. One person who is very dedicated to this shul is the Rav. He dedicates his life. He dedicates his life, his time, his family, sacrifices his family's time for the time of the community. He's very dedicated to the people, to the couples, to the children, and to the younger children. One of the milas that goes underrated is that the Rav knows all the little kids of the community. He runs a beautiful program Friday nights, and all the kids see him, right? He knows them by name, he knows about them, he asks them how their week was, and he knows a lot about them. And without that, without the kids, there is no future of Klal Yisrael. There's no future. And it takes someone special to be able to reach out to these little schnooks, right? Most people will be like, hey, these guys are little schnooks. But someone goes, and he takes his time, and he sees the future, and he gives them the attention. Because we're just bigger schnooks, that's all we are, right? So anyways, without further ado, I'd love to welcome our beloved Rav to come up and give us a speech.
In 2020, Agudas Yisrael hosted a virtual convention. One of the sessions on Thursday night was hosted by three Chashuva Rabbanim: Rav Binyamin Cohen Shlita, Reb Chaim Meir Roth Shlita, and Rabbi Yosef Weiner Shlita, who will be here tomorrow evening. The topic of the session was joining a kehila, impacting yourself and your family. Each Rav discussed various aspects of the challenge of being part of a shul and provided eitzos as to how to meet that challenge. You can listen to the whole session, by the way, if you want, on the Torah Anytime, on the Aguda website, and I'll quote a little bit soon from Rav Binyamin's drasha. But let's ask ourselves, why did the Aguda choose that virtual convention in 2020 to address this issue, joining a kehila, impacting yourself and your family? So let's think about that. All over the world, shuls and yeshivas had been closed and were just beginning little by little to open their doors. Hundreds of thousands of Yidden were in different stages of re-entering their shuls. When something that's the fabric of our lives is interrupted and then reintroduced, it causes people to rethink, to reassess. Why am I investing in a tzibur? What impact is the tzibur making on my life? Is this what I really want? Is it filling my needs? Some people around the world even began to wonder if shul was so important to them to begin with, lo yaleinu. It was a national moment of truth for Klal Yisrael. What is a shul? What is the purpose of a tzibur? How do I choose my tzibur? What can I expect my shul or my rav to offer me? The Aguda tries to keep its ear to the ground and to be aware of different trends and needs of the Torah community, and therefore they presented this session at that time. But the truth is that this is not the whole story. There are other broader trends in society that have created a strain on the cohesiveness of tziburs everywhere. Let me explain with a maisa. There's a fellow by the name of Barry Schwartz. He's the Derwin Cartwright Professor of Social Theory and Social Action at Swarthmore College in Pennsylvania. He wrote a book. The name of the book is called The Paradox of Choice. This book created shockwaves in the academic world. In it, Barry Schwartz, who sounds like a fellow Yid, points out that never in history have human beings had the benefit of so many choices. From breakfast cereals to the lamp that you use at bedtime, a person who's trying to acquire something or get something or do something has literally thousands and thousands of choices. Let me give you a mashal. If you go to Android.com, you'll read the following. Okay, this is on, you go to Android.com, it says the following. It says, Android is for everyone. There are now 1,300 brands that have produced over 24,000 distinct Android devices. And that's just one chelik of the industry. The sad thing is that this Dr. Schwartz demonstrates, this is his whole mission, that all of this choice that the modern world gives us is robbing us of satisfaction. It's making us more stressed out and less happy. But that's not even my point tonight. My point tonight, what I want to focus on, is the extent, for all of us, the extent that we've become like a personalized service society, a what's in it for me society. Our culture is obsessed with individualized, personalized, catered specifically for me service. When this mentality filters into our lives, it has sometimes a negative effect on the cohesion of a tzibur. It makes us question and challenge everything about our hishtatfus with the tzibur. It's no longer about me meeting the needs of the tzibur, but about whether the tzibur is meeting my needs. So let's take a minute and ask ourselves, how important is the tzibur anyway? How important is our shul? How important is our connection? And as we always do, let's turn to the Torah for an answer. Today we learned that in a incredible mara of Kavod Shamayim, Klal Yisrael walked through the Yam Suf, Kriyas Yam Suf. Chazal described to us that when Klal Yisrael walked through the Yam, they experienced the entire Olam Hazeh torn open, and they were able to see and experience a revelation and a kirvas elikim that was unknown since Brias Shemayim Va'aretz. They had nevuah, they saw the future, they experienced the godless of Kavod Shamayim and the Ava, the love that HaKadosh Baruch Hu has for us. A person couldn't possibly be the same after that. 44 days later, they stood at Har Sinai. And once again, the Shamayim opened. Vayered Hashem al Har Sinai. Panim el panim diber Hashem imachem. They experienced a level of nevuah. They heard the words spoken by HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Anoichi Hashem Elokecha. Where did they get the kayach? To be able to be masig, to be able to be makabel, to be able to contain the unbelievable hasagos that were revealed to them on those two occasions. The Sefer Hasidim, in Ois Reish Lamed Gimel, writes a very short paragraph, but he writes clearly that there was one underlying midah without which all the giluyim of Kriyas Yam Suf would not have been shayach, and all the giluyim of Maimed Har Sinai would not have been shayach, and that was the midah of Keish Echad Belev Echad, that they were a tzibur joined together. They were united. And this idea of uniting to be able to receive, to be able to connect with Hashem, is something we already learned from Yaakov Avinu. Yaakov Avinu goes to sleep, and he places 12 stones around him, and he experiences the nace that Rashi tells us, that the stones all fuse together to form one stone, showing how the individuals in Klal Yisrael must join together to form an Ish Echad. And he had a dream. And in that dream, HaKadosh Baruch Hu laid out for him the entire future of Knesset Yisrael. And then he woke up. Vayikatz Yaakov mishenasoi vayomer. Yaakov awoke from his sleep and he said, Ochein yesh Hashem b'makom hazeh. HaKadosh Baruch Hu is here. There's a hashras hashchina. What brings hashras hashchina? Says the Kolboy. Vayikatz ends with a tzaddik. Yaakov ends with a beis. Mishenasai ends with a vav. Vayomer ends with a reish. Tzibur. If you want Ochein yesh Hashem b'makom hazeh, Ochein yesh Hashem b'makom hazeh, us as individuals cannot achieve that. Only when the 12 stones join together, only as a tzibur can we achieve that. In that convention, Rabbi Yamin Cohen brought down this kolboy, but not before expressing some divrei musar to Klal Yisrael at large. With his classic Menuchas HaNefesh, he said the following words. He said, I'm quoting him, this requires a reorientation of our thinking. We tend to think of a shul as a convenience, as a service provider. I need the amud, I need minyanim, the more the better, of course. If you know him, you could hear him. I need a place to make a simcha, a kiddush. But of course, it's much more profound than that. You have to see your identity as part of a kehillah. Does anyone think of being part of Klal Yisrael as being a service? Of course not. It's part of my identity. A shul is a miniature Klal Yisrael. It is called a Beis HaKnesses for a reason. And then he went into a halacha, and he said the following. He said, you're not allowed to speak on Shabbos about malacha that you will do after Shabbos. Listen to this, Levi, it's nageh to your story. Nonetheless, mefakchen al iskei tzibur b'Shabbos. You are allowed to be involved with the iskei tzibur, to examine the iskei tzibur on Shabbos, because it's ruchnius. It's the same park, or road, or waterline. But if it's for the tzibur, it's categorically greater than the individual. We have to get away from the mindset of inconvenience. Was there anything more convenient than davening at home? He then went on to say that involvement in a shul is the same as involvement in any area of Avodas Hashem. The more one puts into it, the more one gets out of it. The more one invests in his tzibur, the more one is mevatel his das to the needs of the rabbim, the more one can consider his fellow mispalalim as part and parcel of himself, the more he will grow from his shul, the more he will gain on a personal level, and the more nachas he or she will see from their children. Our shul Melaveh Malka is a fundraiser, but it is also a reminder. Look around the room. These are the members of your tzibur. These are the individuals who hold the key to your success. These are the people to whom it is worthwhile to sacrifice. These are the people with whom we can experience a Kriyas Yamsuf or a Maimed Har Sinai. Our shul would not exist without all of the board members, the Gaboim, the Mispalalim, and every single person that adds their ruach and their flavor to the beauty that is this tzibur. But I want to mention specifically just a few. And the few that I want to mention specifically are the board members. And I'll tell you why. There are so many people to thank. So how do you know where to draw the line? The reason I want to mention the board members is because there's one line that a board member has passed that's above and beyond. And that is that someone who's on the board has taken personal responsibility for the shul. And that's something for us to admire. So I want to thank Reb Shua Lowenthal, our Baal Simcha from today. I don't know if he's here, he's just after a bris, but who serves the board and the Kehillah silently and diligently. I want to thank Rabbi Yosef Woznicki, whose heart and mind brims with Avos Yisrael. I want to thank Rabbi Yochi Cohn, who is indefatigable and unstoppable. I want to thank Rav Betzalel Hollander, who defines loyalty and consistency. And Rav Peretz Schechter, with his fresh, simchadik, and optimistic mahalach. And finally, a yid that I feel closer to each day, that new powerful force of creativity and passion on the board, Reb Levi Yudkin. And now I want to share with you an important announcement. We are always trying, from my end, from the board's end, from the Gabayim's end, we're always trying to improve our ability to serve the tzibur. And in that pursuit, we have been zeicha to gain a new member of our team. We are grateful to Hashem for the opportunity to announce here for the first time that Reb Shia Pearl will be joining the Shul Hanhola. He will be available to assist me in answering shilas and providing mispalalim with support and eitzos. And over the next few weeks, we will communicate with the tzibur as his role continues to take shape, how and when to be in touch with him, and as things develop, which sedarim or shiurim he will be involved with. My bracha is that Reb Shia should have nachas from the olam and the olam from him. And finally, I want to once again speak to each one of you individually and communicate my personal hakaras hatov for the warmth that we share, for the relationships that we've formed, for the simchas that we've experienced together, and even for the difficult times that we've been zeicha to gain strength from each other. Each and every one of you is so, so precious to me, and I can't imagine my life any more perfect than it is because of the opportunity that you have given me to be a part of your life. May we all be zeicha to continue to follow b'derech Hashem, to add strength and vitality to our tzibur, to have nachas from each other, to have shalom and simcha and parnasa, to be zeicha to learn and understand and teach Torah. And may we be zeicha to finally reach that great moment where HaKadosh Baruch Hu will lead us out of Galus, and where we could sit in a beautiful Beis HaKnesses, Be'ezer Hashem, Yerushalayim, Ir HaKodesh. Agut Tevach, and thank you for being here.
Exactly.